Hi, my name is Tinny.
And I'm Shadé. Welcome to the No But Actually podcast.
And this is a podcast where we try and talk about uplifting, positive, and real conversations that everyone can relate to, and just provide a safe space so that we can kind of walk with each other in this season of transition.
You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe.
And if you want to support us further, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Hi, everyone. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the gap of the generations.
So just to get started so you kind of understand, we have it leveled out because I know sometimes we can forget. So baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. So they're between 60 years old and 78 years old. Generation X, they're born between 1965 and 1980. So they're between 44 years old and 59 years old. Millennials, that's us, born between 1981 and 1996. So they're between 28 years old and 43 years old. And then Generation Z, they're born between 1997 to 2012. So they're between 12 to 27 years old. And Generation Alpha, they're born between 2013 to now, 2024. And so they're 11 years or younger.
Mm-hmm.
So
just keep that in mind in terms of the generations that we're talking about. There are some other generations that come before the boomers, like the silent generation or the lost generation, but I don't know a lot of people from that time, and
he's old.
I mean, I think maybe my grandma is probably in the silent generation, but for today's purposes, we're trying to focus on the dynamics that I think most people are like having a lot of interaction with,
for sure,
and how that is, how we're all managing that and the shifts that are happening in today's society, especially when you're talking about technology and access and all these different things. I think the boomers to Gen Alpha have really experienced the most like shift in terms of access and stuff. Sorry, silent generation, if you feel left out, but
girl, they ain't watching no podcast. Or maybe they are.
It's very possible.
It is.
Sorry, guys. Next time. For today, before we get started and kick this off, Shadé, what are your top 3 hairstyles?
Ooh, top 3 hairstyles. That's hard. I would say like on a man or on a woman.
Ooh, either. Let's discuss both.
Okay. For a woman, I love some box braids, classic, poetic justice, just simple. Looks good.
Yeah.
And just to keep it versatile for all the races. A bob.
It's so true.
Like a bob
if
is
you do
nice.
that right,
yeah.
A bob is classic.
Yeah. And then I would say, I love locks. I don't have locks, but Tinny has locks, but I love locks. Locks are just beautiful. Like,
thank you.
Who doesn't like locks?
You know, some people don't. There's a lot of stereotypes and stigmas against locks, which is one of the reasons I didn't get them for a long time.
But I feel like now people are more accepting.
Oh, everyone's locked up now.
Yeah.
I thought I was being original when I got locked up 4 years ago. And then everyone, not only are they locked, they got the same hair dye, everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, dang, I thought I was doing something. And I'm not. But I like that.
Yeah. Of course, I love a good wig. What do you mean? Duh.
If you do that,
you have to do it right. Yeah.
No, there was a time where I was trying to live the wig life. I couldn't do it though.
Yeah,
it was laying the edges and all the things and what the baby hairs.
The frontals. Yeah, it can get complicated.
I looked very interesting when I lived that life.
Oh my goodness.
What about on guys? What are your favorite hairstyles on guys?
I would say locks once again. Locks are nice. And then, of course, just like a nice taper fade. Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
And my dad, to this day, still has a box cut. And I love a box cut. I feel like it never goes out of style. Yeah.
No.
Never goes out of style. Like,
yeah, no, your dad has rocked that forever.
Yeah.
And it fits.
It does.
It just works.
It went out of style and came right back in.
It did. Wow.
That's how long he's had it. Yeah.
It went out of style and
came right back in, because people be like, yeah, one time, and he was just like, had this same cat
Forever.
for over 30 years.
Forever. Since I known
Yeah.
him.
How about you?
So for women, I would say I personally like, me too. I like the braids. I would say that's
Yeah.
the one thing I miss about being a loose natural. And that's what I was going to break it down, because there's a difference between being a loose, like the flexibility of a loose natural, which you can do. So like you can braid your hair, you can do all kinds of things to it. And you can kind of do stuff like with my locks, they're smaller. So I can do a lot more to them. Like I curl them and stuff. So it like can be more versatile. I can have them straight if I want to. There's some flexibility there, but definitely miss braids though. I could braid over my locks, but the last time I tried to braid over my locks,
Yeah, it was a no.
this lady put jam in my hair.
Oh no,
and I was like,
you remember back in the day, we used to not braid using all this product, and now they always want to
what?
use like all this stuff.
All this
and it used to be neat,
stuff.
so I'm like,
It was
but then they
neat.
used to be burning it all the way up to the top with that lighter. They'll be all the way up to your scalp.
But and it's so interesting because like I feel like I watched the evolution of braids too, between like, because before we didn't have like people that stretch the hair.
Oh yeah,
Right, so now
yes.
they pull the hair, so you don't have to do.
But
burn
now
the
they already
ends.
have it stretched.
I know, and that's the thing. So all the extra stuff that they're doing, I don't understand, because I feel like we hit that midpoint of evolution where you didn't need to add all this jam to your hair. You learned how to stretch the hair, so all you would have to do is kind of like trim it a little bit. You didn't have
Yeah.
to burn it or anything like that.
True.
We watched a
We
lot of
still use
evolution,
Kakanakalon.
and they just came out, and that's like completely toxic. So Kanekalon is like
Of course, just like perm is
all the things,
just
but
the cancers.
all the cancers for the black women, unfortunately. So one of the reasons why I locked my hair, but I still
Yeah.
like braids. If you wash it and you get the right brand,
Oh
I
yes.
think you can do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I think I also really like, honestly, one thing I want to try in the future,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when, is a pixie cut. I love a
yeah,
good pixie
pixie
cut
cut,
on a woman,
yeah.
and like do blonde or something like that.
Oh yeah, just yes.
It's so like, it's so clean, it's so like
Mm-hmm.
sleek, it's so professional. Not everyone can pull it off. I honestly don't think I can pull it off.
Yeah, you gotta
but
have the right head
you have
shape.
to have the right head
and
shape in order
gotta
to
have
do it
face that's
and make it
serving.
look feminine. Otherwise, you're not looking
And
feminine.
I also love like a buzz cut, like a good buzz cut on a woman. Oh my gosh, like
Women can
yeah.
pull us out if you have the right head shape. Yes.
Yes.
And then the last hairstyle I like a good ponytail.
A ponytail, yes. If you have a good ponytail,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so simple. I feel like now that we like, if you don't put too much tension on your hair, you can really
Yeah.
rock it. I feel like a lot of people don't rock ponytails anymore because
I've been seeing some ponytails have kind of come back,
They come
especially
back.
like the long ones with like a braid or something. I
Yeah.
haven't seen
I like a
ponytails,
good
but
ponytail.
I ain't got good
So-
edges, so that's probably why it's not
That's
my
what I was saying. I
favorite,
was just
'cause
like, I
I'm
feel like some
salty.
people have like withdrawn from the ponytail life
Yeah.
because their
Remember the
hairline.
French roll back in the day?
Oh,
My mom used to have a French roll like every Saturday.
Man, those hairstyles, no, the 90s hairstyles, they are
Love it.
making a comeback.
They are. I
I
saw
see-
somebody
yeah.
who had a French roll like the other day, and I'm like, ooh,
They
are
are
coming
making
back.
They're making comeback.
lots
But
of gel sitting under a dryer. But yes,
it's a lot of work.
yeah, it is.
It's a good look, but I don't have the time.
No.
Then for guys, I've recently become more amenable to dreads. I would say
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I wasn't always, but
Yeah, it has to be the right kind.
it has to be the right kind.
Yeah.
I like oh, this brings into interesting conversation because we've been talking primarily about black hair, right? But also one thing I do like are these white boys that have like their hair like in a French, what is it called? It's like a French something, and it's like half up, half down. Girl, I know you're gonna look at me crazy.
Man bun?
No,
Wait,
it's not. No,
half
no.
up,
Sorry,
half down.
I said half up, half down, but like it's like a oh gosh,
The back is shaved.
yes, but like they have the top still done. It's called a French something. I looked this up. Someone put it in the comments. I don't know what I'm talking
French?
about. It's called a French something cut. Do you know? Okay.
I have an idea of like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I am the worst.
Describe it.
Think Peaky Blinders. Have you ever watched Peaky Blinders?
Oh,
Yes.
okay, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Yes. If you've seen those guys with those
Okay.
hair, some guys have really been able to pull it off really well. Like they slick it back really nice.
Yes,
It
okay.
looks like
That-
very
yes,
classic.
yes.
Yeah,
I like that. It's a classic look.
It's a classic
Yes.
look. I like that. White guys. So dreads. I don't know what that thing is called. It has a name. I know it does.
Classic.
Yes, exactly. We're gonna call it the classic look. And then the third hairstyle that I like on guys is, I'm gonna have to say the taper fade. Just like that.
Classic. Can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
No matter, yeah, what you look like, what type of head shape you have, it's gonna work for you.
It will always work. It's Old Faithful.
Yes.
It is Old Faithful.
That is good.
Yeah.
They call it the French crop.
Thank
French
you.
crop.
Yes, it's called a French crop.
Okay.
I was like, I know. I looked it up one time, and I was just like, that does some work. It does.
I like.
Okay, so back to our topic for today, the gap with the generations and how we're all relating to one another.
Are we?
I think it's a struggle.
It is.
I would say that, so I'm a we've discussed we're millennials, and that means that our parents, for the most part, are boomers. So they're in a generation where they witnessed a lot of things shift in history. Like, I feel like our parents' generation, they witnessed a lot of, specifically as children from immigrant parents, a lot of countries received their independence in that time. So, like, I feel like they witnessed something very different about history, which, like, their perspective is very different in terms of how you move in life. Like, I feel like our parents in particular, because they were coming from another country to America, they, like, kind of have like a survival mentality, because you're having to root up your family, your life, everything you know, and come somewhere else entirely. Like, I would love to move to another country and live there, but I don't think I've fully even processed what it means to start over in another country.
And think about, like, even starting over when there's nothing like cell phones. Like, my dad talks about, like, writing letters and not hearing from your family for like months and years, or seeing people.
We could
like,
never.
What?
Big props to our parents' generation, because we could never. You don't have a cell phone?
No.
For 2 months? Just imagine 2 months, no cell phone.
You don't even, like, I hope you made it there safely. Like,
are you alive?
Right.
Who's going to report that you're missing?
Right.
Because you're going somewhere where you may not know anyone.
Correct.
Yeah. No, that's a
different type of leap.
And we're like, there are a lot of people like in our generation as millennials, and we're first generation Americans, you know. It's not just Africans. There are a lot of Indians who are first generation Americans, a lot of Mexicans that are first generation, a lot of people. So the life, and I feel like that transition was that wave, like in that time, like the late like 70s and 80s,
for sure,
because they were old enough to leave. Like, my mom, she came to America when she was 18.
Yeah. Yep.
And started a whole life. Yeah. And had to enroll in school. And
correct. My mom said that when she went to Texas Women's. Shout out Texas Women's. That's where I went to. She said she couldn't even understand what the professor was saying because of, like, the country drawl. Like, she had to record and go back and be like.
And your mom had wisdom, because some people would have just been like,
I'm dropping out of school and just choosing another life. Like,
that is wisdom. Yeah, so I feel like they had like a different struggle. And I even think about like people who lived in America during the time of the boomers. Like, that's a whole upheaval in and of itself, right?
For sure.
You're talking about like civil rights movement, like this other stuff happening. Like, that's a lot of stuff.
And the 70s look lit though. I would have a bad fro.
Over here,
platform shoes, bell bottoms.
That is like
be over here, just like
outside of racism and dying. I would most likely I've always said I would go back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What? The drugs were different then back.
Begin boogie with it.
Get down, get down, get down, okay. and let the fro flow.
Yes, my little pick.
Right.
Okay, I would love it.
And the platform shoes and the bell bottoms.
And the bell bottoms, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I came to the right time, because I don't know what I was.
Right, I'll be doing the most. Might not be saved.
What? Man.
Might not know Christ. Yeah.
And then after the boomers is Gen X. And I feel like they always say like millennials and Gen X are like the two generations that witnessed everything shift entirely.
For sure.
And so like Gen X is like our big brothers and big sister.
Yes.
Because they saw stuff, but they also like they're the first to kind of come from the boomers, and they still have the mindset and they understand it, but they're still progressive. They're like, we can discern between what works and doesn't work.
Correct.
But at the same time, you can only do what you've seen. So
they're not as progressive as they think.
It's like that in between is just like, no, we're not our parents, but at the same time, like you're old school still.
Yeah.
You still value traditional things like your parents did. And I think when it comes to millennials, we're the ones where we're the bridge. So like there are still some people who like you end up following traditional if you can't figure things out.
For sure.
But I feel like a lot of millennials are trying to break free from all the things that they've understood do not work. Like they're trying. Like it's not easy because we literally have no tools. We have no elders.
We have no elders. So we are the elders.
Oh my days. We're the elders.
Because we're trying to do things differently.
We are. And we've seen a lot. We've learned a lot. Like we grew up in an education system that taught us to think about these things, even though it's kind of a scam because they were going to put us back in a box anyway. So it's
correct.
Like, yeah. So we're having to fight an extra fight because we're like trying to actually break free from all of the things.
Yes.
And then there's Gen Z. And Gen Z doesn't know what we're talking about.
I feel like Gen Z and millennials beef a lot.
Yeah. Which is weird because like I'm learning why now, and it's so interesting. And I think a lot of it has to do with technology. Like technology keeps playing a role in terms of like how you think about things. Like I think about my brother, he's younger, he's on the cusp. Like he's literally right there between millennials and Gen Z. I think about the way that we grew up, and he was just so much bolder than me and my other brother. He would ask for things and I was like, you're not supposed to ask for that. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's like the Gen Z mentality. Like they always say millennials are entitled. Gen Z just be taken. Yeah. They don't even ask. They're just like, this is
right.
What do you
mean? It's my right.
In fact, I'm not coming in tomorrow because this is slavery.
Correct.
Like, they move different. Oh my gosh. When I was like visiting some friends, they were talking about this like because in the legal profession, like during the summer, people who are in law school will go to a law firm and they will basically kind of apprentice for a while. So you kind of like get some projects and stuff. You work for a couple of attorneys, like a senior attorney and then like a mid-level associate to kind of supervise you more. And one of the girls was like, she had got some comments back, but it was towards the end of the day, and like traditionally whenever you receive comments from a more senior attorney, you're supposed to like, you know, try and get, especially if they're not that much, try and get it done to make a good impression, right? And this girl was just like, yeah, I have a concert to go to tonight, so I won't be getting to that until tomorrow. And my friend was like, so like typically like it's just a few, you know, like like the partner would really like it done by today if possible. And this girl told her she's toxic.
You are toxic because you're triggering me, and
I was like, and
you're messing with my boundaries, and
you were violating my boundaries.
Okay.
And it's funny because like everyone else at the table who's a more experienced attorney is just like, is she okay?
Girl.
Is she okay?
Okay, not a concert, not even like I have like a concert, girl, so that it's not happening. But honestly, it doesn't matter why, because it's not happening. I love it for them, and I love that for us, because
I do too. Actually, I wish these are things, but it's like it's navigating all those spaces, and it goes back to like the gap of the generations, because that's a generation who's just like
boomers would never. Like a lot of at my job, a lot of boomers are of course retiring, and they have so many days like left that they never took off, and so now they're trying to figure, like they're honestly just gonna lose most of them because they don't even they can't even use it all.
You don't have time.
You don't have time to use it all. And I'm just like, yeah, no, that's not going to be my story.
And as I said, we're in that bridge between like people look at us as entitled because of the boomer standard that was set, whereas Gen Z is just like, I'm taking it. What do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean?
What do you even mean? But yeah, I think that's probably why millennials and Gen Z beef still, because like we are like the Gen X, like we're trying to navigate how to break free from stuff, and they're just like, break free, and also
Yeah.
don't wear skinny jeans, and we're just
Oh my
like,
gosh. Don't do side parts anymore.
lower your voice first of all and show some respect. Like, I'm your elder.
Okay.
Calm down.
They do not like our style.
do
They are not
not.
here for what we're doing.
That's okay. It's gonna circle back.
I know.
Like your dad's hairstyle.
It's gonna circle back.
It's gonna spin the block and be like,
Yeah.
back again.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gen Alpha. Like, because we're the bridge, we know what life looked like when we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
Or cell phones were not as readily accessible to the public. Like, you had to be, one, very wealthy to have a cell phone, and also lift weights to have a cell phone because it was so big. Like, you did not.
Where are you going with this? I can't.
Cell phones used to be in a briefcation.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
Oh.
Like the original cell phones that people had.
I don't think I knew anybody rich enough to have one of those.
Because it was, well, and that was like probably like
Nokias, those are like the first
late
phones that I
80s,
kind of know.
early 90s, exactly, like
And
the small-
pagers.
exactly. People had like pagers and stuff like that, like in the early 90s, mid 90s and stuff. And then you started to see smaller cell phones, like the Nokia, the snake game on the phone.
Oh my God, love it.
That was a classic. Yes.
Sidekick,
So
Razor.
right? Like a girl, even before, like, think about like even that like transition too, because Nokia phones were like black and white.
They were.
You didn't have color.
They
like,
were. Remember how we used to have to text? You had to press each key like
Do, do,
3
do, do.
times.
Yep.
Yeah. Oof.
These are the things, girl.
Struggle.
This versus this.
Oh,
That in and of itself is like
Yes.
completely different. So like we watched that transition happen,
For sure.
and that like our way of thinking, because we saw those things, our muscle memory is different. So we think differently about things. We have different understanding about how things work, and I don't think Gen Alpha is gonna like
what I have to tell like my son, like I try not to do too much TV, like I try not to do TV at all on weekdays, which is so
it's hard.
And he's like, I need it, can I please at least listen to music? Even like my daughter, like one of her first, she doesn't have that many words yet, but she knows phone, like that's already one of her
because it's
first,
everywhere.
like 20 words.
We
phone.
hold it all the time. We're always on it. Like if you 2 months without a phone,
girl,
it sounds like death. Even my heart is just like, that's not safe.
It's not. We used to get in the car and just drive with little MapQuest directions on a piece of paper. So like, pull over to the gas station and be like, I'm trying to get to here. Like, if you worked at a gas station, you had to understand directions because you were navigating people, and you had to go back. And then think about how many ways there is to get somewhere. I told this to my mom the other day. You only know one. You weren't even taking the fastest route. You were just taking the one that you knew.
That you know, exactly.
Even if it wasn't short. What type of life were we living?
They were living it.
Blows my mind.
They were living it. Like, yeah, no, it's so true. Like, even some places, because I born and raised in Dallas, right? Do you know that I didn't really drive down 35 for the first time until like I was out in like I think I graduated college. I was in law school. Yeah, like that was like that was in college.
But also just the way Dallas has exploded. Like even my parents, like they generally understand like how every highway and stuff works, but still like
you don't do.
It's just exploded.
Yeah.
So
no, it's true. It's exploded. But I think about like you said, you only know one way, even though other ways have always existed.
Oh, for sure.
And that's
because you have to do the way that you know.
I've only driven down 635. Why would I take 30 or 35 to go anywhere? You know what I mean? Like it wasn't until like later in life. So to the point, I was just like, the only time we've ever driven down this road is when we're going somewhere far, far away. But it's always been like 10 minutes down from my house. And that's what I processed. I was just like,
that's crazy. That's
really weird, you know? But that's to your point, like people get so familiar with what they know and how to get somewhere that you just stick with that. And I think that's the difference too between the boomers and our generation. Our willingness to explore and do things
and try things that are different and non-traditional.
Because now we take technology helps.
Okay. Because my parents all the time be like, "Are you?" I'm like, "Nope. I'm taking whichever way the GPS says is fastest."
Exactly.
Because you never know. Like, yeah.
So it's just interesting the different things. But Yeah, this generation gap is interesting.
How do you think social media has impacted our development?
I think it has, and we talked about this before, but it's definitely opened us up more to the world and like information. Like you can learn a lot really fast, and there's fewer excuses for ignorance.
Yeah.
I would say, and I think that's the most challenging part because technology is so available. I think that it reduces people's willingness to like actually teach with our generation in the way that I feel like older generations like
For sure, I can
they
see
are more
that.
intentional about, and they
Yeah.
move slower when they're teaching too.
For sure.
So
It's almost like information overload
yes,
also. Remember Ask Jeeves? I
oh
was even
my
thinking about
gosh,
different search
I
engines.
forgot about
Like,
that. Yeah, that
yeah.
disappeared.
Like, I remember search engines that, like, before we used to have to go to an encyclopedia and look up stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there was no internet.
It barely
The
was a
World
thing.
Wide Web did not exist when I was born.
Or even like the way it existed wasn't what it is today.
No.
Like it was between a few computers.
Yeah, even my
and
childhood, I read so many physical books.
yeah.
Now I'm a
I know
audiobook girl.
I do not have
But
time.
yes, like I read so many physical books. Like I had
remember.
books like so many in my house. Like
Yeah.
and just being able to like retain and learn different languages and different writing
Yes.
styles. I feel like, you know,
That is something, it's a skill, and we
it
take
is a
it for
skill.
granted because of we were just forced to do it.
For sure.
But I think where we're starting to see the shift is with like younger generations, with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, is like they don't have to learn cursive. You don't have to write anymore.
Girl, you know, that's what I do. Like I mostly help kids like with handwriting. Like the hand muscles have not even developed the way they're supposed to because our thumbs just do opposition so much. Like it's just crazy. It starts from like crawling to walking to typing to and think about like surgeons and people who need to have really intricate
that's going to be really
fine motor
interesting
skills.
to see
It's
how
decreased.
those professions evolve over the years.
Yeah, because they don't have the skills or they know it, but then the performance part and just building,
they don't have that.
It's lacking,
and that's
for sure.
Crazy because they're learning procedures or how to do procedures that have existed long before they have, and their older counterparts could do, but they cannot. Do. That's really
because of all the like. Even if I write something like longer than half a page, like I shake
your
like
hand.
It gets cramps.
Yeah,
like before we used to have to remember
that.
the TOS test. We used to have to write like 2-3 pages that were legible.
Man,
what?
And even that was hard for people. Just legibility.
Just the girl. People can't write. These kids cannot write.
Man,
they cannot write.
That's
some
so
of them can, but a lot of them
they can't.
And it just has to even just do with like the muscles in the hands. Just going back to
because you're not practicing. Like you don't have
kids don't play outside. They don't throw balls.
They don't.
That's so true. They don't do monkey bars. They don't do stuff that build upper body muscles. Strength. It's just crazy.
Man.
Yeah, girl.
This is such an interesting. I didn't even think about all this stuff.
I know. I have to because of my job. But if I didn't, then I wouldn't.
You wouldn't. Yeah, I don't want to.
Playing because it's just like it blows your mind.
It does because I don't think about it until like you don't think about it until you're dealing with kids. Yeah, that's just it. Like you don't realize how much you've taken for granted until you either have children of your own or you're working within a environment with younger children and seeing like this is new. Like this is not what I understood from my childhood.
No.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
So how can we develop stronger intergenerational relationships and learn from each other?
I think the challenge with this is pride.
Yes.
I think it's a lot of it is pride because you have the boomers because they've seen more than we have and they've been through things and they walked all this way in the snow in Africa to get
they walked 10 miles to get to school
when things were hard and all this stuff. There's pride in the strength and the grit that you've built in that space, but I think what is hard for any person in general is adjusting to new circumstances.
Yeah.
And when the world is shifting from your struggle that really forged you,
Yeah.
you know, like that really made your identity, like that's what you rooted yourself in. And now the world doesn't even have that. The world doesn't even know what that is. You suffered and toiled in a wilderness of whatever, and the world has even erased that. They're like, oh, that was bad. We're just gonna just get rid of that, and we're gonna start from. We're gonna build something that's much easier. It's a different kind of wound,
Yeah.
you know. And so
I asked you it the hard way. Now you're getting the easy way.
and you got it after I just finished getting it the hard
Yeah.
way, and I didn't have a choice but to get it
Correct.
the hard way. That can also, I think, create some friction in terms of just
For
like
sure.
being able to honor the fact that they don't have to do it the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes misery loves company in a
Yeah.
very weird way. It makes sense, but also just kind of like sometimes it's important to remember that you're paving the way for the next generation.
For
And that's
sure.
hard
It
because I think about some of the things that I've been through already, and having some happy-go-lucky talk about, oh my gosh, I get to do this and it's so easy, and you're just like, back in my day,
Facts.
you know what I had to do?
Yeah.
We didn't have no laptop to go to school. What do you mean? The tax test on a laptop versus on a,
Writing it down by hand.
it's a different experience. So I think that's part of the issue, but developing stronger intergenerational relationships, I think it's letting go of your pride
It
and
is.
being
And it's
happy for the next
needed.
person.
And everyone can glean from everyone. Younger can glean from
Yeah.
older can glean from younger.
Yeah. But I think
But I think
Yeah.
the generations need each other. I feel
we
like we
need-
need each other, and I feel like we're missing each other because we can't relate, and so we're
Absolutely.
hanging on more to like areas that we can't relate on instead of being like, okay, we have these things in like, you know, in common.
Absolutely.
Even I was listening, I think, to the radio yesterday, and it was just saying like how we're living in two different Americas, the generations. So like millennials and
Yeah.
Gen Z and stuff, like how our economy is, how much we make, how much houses cost, how much gas costs, how much daycares cost, and then how like boomers and stuff are living in a whole different generation because like maybe they already have houses that are paid off, they're already in retirement, so it's just like they're like, oh yeah, things are looking good, and we're just like, things are looking awful. So it's like two different Americas
Yes.
based on the
Yes.
generation, so we're
What you're able
experiencing
to-
life differently, you know.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good point. And yeah, and I think that's something else with the boomers too, is that even in the fact that they got so many things like out the mud because they did work for what they got, they also came up in a time where everything was cheaper. Like, and if you had, even if you had just like a little bit of something from someone else in a previous generation, it sets you up in a way
It did that you
is,
right.
not comparable.
Girl, my parents' first house, like the house that I moved out of when I think I was around like 6 or so,
Yeah.
they sold it for $70,000. It's a 2-story, 3-bedroom house.
Not in today's economy.
I said, what? A $70,000 house. Let that sink in.
All I thought about was how beautiful the mortgage on that was in terms of today's dollars.
Correct. Correct.
The beautiful.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They had a different experience, and I feel like, well, I'd have to go look at the numbers on this, but if you have a 2-parent household,
That's what I say. That's why I'm like, most people,
Yeah.
like, both parents have to work. Like,
Yeah.
that's just where we are in life.
No,
like,
it's
for the average
true.
family, even the stay-at-home moms still have side hustles. Like,
man,
Yeah.
and they're hustling hard.
they are
They are hustling
just
hard.
different time.
I was reading something on Instagram, and it was like, bring back the old man with the hat at Home Depot that knows where everything is, because those people, they know everything. Because I thought about it, and it's like,
Yes.
it's that kind of generational gap, because
Correct.
I've taken it for granted. But now if you go to Home Depot, they have a lot of younger people who don't know where anything is.
No.
I went there to look for something to work on one of my projects, and I was just like, I'm looking for this, and I showed the girl the picture, and she's like, I don't even know what that's called. Girl, let me see. I think I've seen it over here. And I was like,
Oh, what is that? Oh,
I was
my
like,
goodness.
wow. And it was in that moment, I was just like, where is that old man with the hat?
Okay,
That's
who
a
knows where
veteran?
everything is on aisle 13?
And we'll teach you how to
towards the
use
back.
it.
Okay,
Yes.
and this is the better one,
And-
even though it's cheaper. Like,
No, those people, I'm searching deeply for them, but yeah, I think the times have just like caused everyone to go into hiding. So yeah, we need you guys. We need you older people.
We do.
Your knowledge is important to us so we can understand, because there's certain things that they learned and understood, and they learned it at a time where it just made sense.
Correct.
And a lot of that knowledge then get passed down to us. Like,
No.
how did our parents learn how to do their taxes? Because I didn't learn that in school.
No. The
Basic
Pythagorean
skills.
theorem.
Have not used it since.
Girl.
These are the things.
Onomatopoeia. Yeah. Pia. Girl.
Automatopoeia.
I said Pia. That's not right.
But yeah, I think that, I don't know. I think, pride is a big factor, and it's blocking our ability to communicate with one another and get information from one another. And I think in particular, like, I feel like we will have to do a really good job of learning from like younger generations. Like,
for sure.
Honestly, I'm learning from everyone now. Like, I look at these younger kids, they're going to pick up things faster. Your kids are very young and they know how to use phones. They know how to use a tablet. They know where to click. They know how to use the TV. They know how to press the button to get to the show that they want to watch. Like, their dexterity in that way is very fast.
For sure.
And I do not want to be one of those older people in the future who's like squinting and like,
come over here and help me. Yeah.
How do you do this?
Correct.
I want to keep up with the masses. Like, I remember when my grandma got Facebook. Oh man.
She thought she was commenting on somebody's wall, sending them a message.
I'm doing both. No, my grandma learned. She learned how to do it.
No, your grandma's good.
She really, she was on it.
Happy birthday, Shadé. Okay, ma'am, with the emojis.
Girl, she be on it. And I was like, Grandma.
Yeah. No, she's different.
She is.
Yeah,
so,
she's cut from different cloth.
She is. She is. She had some time. But yeah. There's things to learn. I think, just being willing to learn and listen. And I think also recognizing that you have to keep up with everything. Because as you get older, that's when you start realizing, like, oh, I'm getting...
And things are moving really fast. So...
That's the part I was like, I
have a hard time keeping up.
No, when you tell me stories of when you go to high schools and the things that they're doing, I was like,
that's when I really realized I'm old.
I've been inside for a while, I see, because this is, these are new things. How are kids doing this? And they're, all the dances, like, that's
TikTok dances.
That's like the new measure of like, how much, like, they'll be like, you can tell the difference, like, who's a millennial and who's not, because like they were ankle socks or something like that, like,
yes,
just different things.
And
I'm just like,
I do have ankle socks.
I
don't have those long socks. I do not
in the summertime.
Right?
Why are you wearing that? It doesn't make sense. But like, those little things are just interesting markers for like how to tell the generations apart. But
for sure,
you can learn stuff from them, and it's figuring out how to like learn from the previous generation while also keeping up with the younger generation.
For sure.
And
it's necessary.
It's a great idea in theory, and then life starts lifing.
Yeah, it's
and then
harder
you wake
to
up,
do, but it's very necessary.
And you realize that you don't know what you're doing, and you're just like, you're showing your age everywhere.
Oh, that happens all the time.
But I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments. We love to interact with you guys, and we're just trying to figure things out on our own. So if you have ideas on how to bridge the gap between the generations, please share.
Us. Yes, I want to hear.
These are the areas that are definitely becoming more and more prevalent as we continue to move very quickly through society. Thanks guys for listening. Join us again on the next episode.